On February 9, 1945, 73 German submariners drowned not from depth charges or torpedo strikes, but from their own technology, killed by a weapon system so experimental that Allied intelligence didn't know it existed. Aboard a submarine carrying cargo so dangerous, its loss may have saved more lives than its crew could count. U-864 went down off Fiji Island carrying 65 tons of liquid mercury, jet engine components, and 2 Japanese naval officers bound for Tokyo, sunk by the only successful submerged submarine versus submarine engagement in history. The paradox cuts deep. Germany's most advanced underwater technology, designed to hunt enemy vessels while hidden beneath the waves, became its own coffin when another submarine found it first. The Type I-9D2 represented German naval engineering at its most ambitious and most compromised, stretching 87 meters with a surface displacement of 1,616 tons. These boats traded the combat agility of smaller U-boats for strategic reach, 23,700 nautical miles at 10 knots, enough to circumnavigate half the planet without surfacing. U-864's twin MAN M9 V40-46 supercharged diesels generated 4,400 horsepower, pushing the boat to 19 knots on the surface, while twin electric motors provided 1,000 horsepower submerged for a maximum underwater speed of 6.9 knots. But February 1945 was not 1941. The Kriegsmarine had lost 632 U-boats by winter's end, taking 28,000 submariners to the bottom, a casualty rate approaching 75% that made U-boat service statistically deadlier than any other Wehrmacht branch. "We no longer hunt, we are hunted," Kapitän-Leutnant Wolfgang Luth had written in November 1944, 3 months before his own death. Every dive might be the last, every surfacing a gamble with detection. Allied air supremacy and improved sonar made North Atlantic operations suicidal. U-864's mission, Operation Caesar, reflected Germany's strategic desperation: transfer critical war material to Japan via the Arctic route, sustaining the one ally still capable of tying down Allied forces in Asia. Commanded by Korvettenkapitän Ralph Reimar Wolfram, U-864 carried more than men and machinery. The Mercury alone, 1,300 flasks weighing 50 kilograms each, was destined for Japanese weapons programs. Jet turbine components from Junkers and Messerschmitt facilities represented technology years ahead of anything in Allied arsenals. Optical equipment, blueprint cylinders, and technical documentation filled every spare compartment. 2 Japanese naval officers occupied crew quarters, liaison personnel who would coordinate technology transfer upon arrival. The boat departed Kiel in December 1944, but mechanical failures forced repeated returns. Engine malfunctions plagued the aging diesels. Snorkel equipment, the breathing tube allowing submerged diesel operation, proved unreliable, leaking carbon monoxide into crew spaces. By early February, after 2 aborted departures, Wolfram finally cleared Norwegian waters, running submerged through Fiji Sound toward the open Atlantic. British signals intelligence had tracked every delay. Enigma decryption provided sailing schedules, cargo manifests, and route projections. The Admiralty dispatched HMS Venturer, a British V-class submarine commanded by Lieutenant James Launders, to intercept.
Venturer carried none of U-864's technological sophistication. Displacing 842 tons submerged, the boat relied on ASDIC's sonar arrays primitive compared to later systems. Maximum effective range barely exceeded 2,500 yards in optimal conditions. Launders had one critical advantage. He knew U-864's exact transit window and probable track. On February 9th, hydrophone operators detected diesel engine noise at bearing 310 degrees. The sound signature matched German MAN engines, rhythmic, heavy, unmistakable. Launders faced calculations no submarine commander had attempted operationally. Submerged attacks required predicting a target's position without visual confirmation, accounting for current drift, sound refraction through temperature layers, and the torpedo's own travel time. HMS Venturer carried 21-inch Mark 8 torpedoes with 805-pound Torpex warheads capable of 40.5 knots over 5,000 yards. But torpedo running depth and gyro angles demanded precision. Launders spent 3 hours tracking, plotting U-864's course changes, estimating speed from propeller cavitation patterns. The German boat maneuvered unpredictably. Wolfram knew these waters were dangerous, and irregular course alterations might shake any pursuer. Venturer crept to within 900 yards. Launders ordered 6 torpedoes prepared, calculating a spread pattern across U-864's projected path. The control room smelled of sweat and battery acid, lit by red lamps that preserved night vision men didn't need underwater. Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3, Fire 4. The torpedoes launched at 17-second intervals, compressed air hissing through tubes, 4 fish running hot toward coordinates marked only on paper. Inside U-864, hydrophone operators detected torpedo propellers. Wolfram ordered emergency deep. The boat's bow tilted sharply, angle increasing past 20 degrees as ballast tanks flooded. Submariners grabbed stanchions, loose equipment crashed forward. Depth gauges spun, 90 meters, 100, 120. The pressure hull groaned, steel contracting under mounting tons per square inch. Then impact. Launder's 4th torpedo struck aft of the conning tower at 13:12 hours, punching through the pressure hull between compartments 3 and 4. The explosion ruptured fuel bunkers and flooded the engine room instantly. 65 tons of mercury, stored in the keel for ballast stability, spilled into surrounding compartments as structural frames collapsed. The boat broke in half, both sections plummeting toward the seabed 150 meters below. 73 men died in seconds, some from blast trauma, others from drowning as freezing seawater filled compartments faster than watertight doors could seal. No one escaped. British hydrophones recorded the hull impacting bottom, followed by secondary detonations as battery compartments short-circuited and residual air pockets collapsed. The mercury remains there still, leaching into sediment at concentrations 10,000 times normal background levels, creating a toxic zone monitored by Norwegian environmental agencies 80 years later. The jet components and optical instruments corroded into unrecognizable debris. The Japanese officers never reached Tokyo. Their names appear in Kriegsmarine casualty lists without elaboration. Launders received the Distinguished Service Order, the first and only decoration for submerged submarine combat. U-864's wreck was located in 2003, broken and scattered across a debris field spanning 400 meters. The engagement lasted 4 hours, involved no visual contact, and demonstrated that submarine warfare had evolved beyond surface gunnery into 3-dimensional acoustic chess played in total darkness. Germany built 1,162 U-boats across all types during the war, at a cost exceeding 43 million Reichsmarks per vessel. Fewer than 200 survived to surrender. The underwater campaign that once threatened to starve Britain into submission consumed itself. Submarines hunting submarines in freezing black water. Both sides trapped beneath the Atlantic, waiting for the machinery of war to either save them or drag them into the depths. Technology promised dominance, but delivered only new ways to die unseen.
Venturer's crew surfaced 90 minutes after the kill, scanning empty horizons for wreckage that never appeared. Launders recorded the engagement in his patrol log with clinical precision. Bearing angles, torpedo spread calculations, estimated time to target, but offered no speculation about what he'd just accomplished. The boat returned to Lerwick on February 14th, carrying no physical proof of victory beyond hydrophone recordings and mathematical projections. Admiralty analysts required weeks to confirm the kill through signals intelligence cross-referencing. U-864's scheduled radio checks went silent. Enigma traffic mentioned a missing boat. Norwegian coastal observers reported no surface transit. The confirmation process revealed warfare's new reality. Victories occurred in acoustic shadows and intercept transcripts, validated not by captured prisoners or floating debris, but by absences in enemy communications. Post-war analysis estimated that if U-864's Mercury cargo had reached Japan, it could have supplied detonator production for 18,000 conventional bombs or chemical weapon initiators for programs Allied intelligence barely understood. The jet components represented months of development work from facilities already being overrun by advancing Soviet forces. Wolfram's crew died carrying secrets and materials that would have extended Pacific combat operations by unknowable margins. Their deaths a statistical footnote that prevented calculations no historian can definitively make. The engagement transformed submarine doctrine across every navy that studied it. Soviet, American, and British submarine schools incorporated Launder's attack geometry into training protocols, acoustic tracking procedures, three-dimensional trigonometry for blind firing solutions, patience standards for submerged pursuit that stretched human endurance against the terror of being hunted while hunting. The Type 9D2 design influenced post-war long-range submarine development despite its operational failures. The Soviet Project 611 and American Tang-class boats borrowed hull configurations and range requirements directly from captured German documentation. U-864's wreck site became a legal battleground in the 2000s when Norwegian authorities proposed raising or entombing the hull to contain mercury contamination, but international maritime law classified war graves as sovereign territory, regardless of environmental hazard. 73 bodies remain entombed in corroding steel, surrounded by pooled mercury that kills fish across a square kilometer of seabed, a toxicity that outlasts memory and outlasts empire. The final accounting is this. Submarine warfare reached its apex of lethality when boats could destroy each other without ever breaking the surface, when technology made detection and death simultaneous events in black water, when the strategic value of cargo justified sending men into seas where detection meant annihilation, and when one captain's mathematics proved more precise than another's evasion. 73 submariners suffocated in steel chambers, knowing their mission failed before they felt the hull rupture, carrying secrets to depths where secrets don't matter anymore, becoming not casualties of battle, but sacrifices to the machinery of logistics and the cold equations of industrial warfare, fought in 3 dimensions beneath an ocean that keeps all secrets equally.